What's going on, everybody? This is Michael of the Lounge's Pokemon Draft League, bringing you the semifinals match of Alex versus William. If you don't remember from last time, William defeated Jake during the first round, and Alex, because he placed second overall, is getting a round 1 bye and is starting his first playoffs match during the second round. So we'll see who makes it out on top and who progresses on to the finals of this draft league. I'm very excited. Both of these players have shown excellent successes. William was kind of off to a rocky start, but he has proven himself towards the later half that he is nobody to mess with, whereas Alex has been dominating fiercely throughout his weeks with King Gambit and Hisuian Zoroark. We'll see who makes it out of this alive and who makes it out on top. So let's get that right rolling here. We start off with Slitherwing versus Ting-Lu in the beginning. Ting-Lu immediately Terra Waters, and he takes 30% from first impression. Now that is just insane that even a neutral attack still does 30% of its HP. I mean, to be fair, it is a Slitherwing, but from this damage output, we can see that it's not banded actually, but it is max attack and adamant nature. And this Ting-Lu is not actually max defense, otherwise it would have taken way less. But it is max HP, probably special defense or attack invested right now, but we'll see. He whirlwinds out. I actually built with William, so I remember the strategy. Anything he can't attack or super effectively right now, he just whirlwinds out, and that's what he does here, and drags out the Whiscash here. So he completely walls this Whiscash. Now there's nothing this Whiscash can do to touch him. Ice Beam, or Surf or Earth Power does not do any damage to a specially defensive Ting-Lu, as they trade rocks here, and we see here from the next match, Earth Power only doing 20%. Yeah, he eats that up, even with the Life Orb damage. And very smart from William. He knows that Alex cannot handle any hazards whatsoever. So he just sets up all the hazards, spikes, stealth rocks, yeah, and then he just whirlwinds out to start phasing. See what he can and cannot do. We can tell here from the stealth rock damage, it only took 6% instead of the normal 12 that Stealth Rock does. And because of that, we know that this is actually King Gambit. This is not Hisuian Zoroark. Otherwise, the Hisuian Zoroark would have taken 12% instead of 8% or 6% that it does. And because Steel resists Rock, it only deals half of the damage that Stealth Rock does. So this is King Gambit and not Hisuian Zoroark. And he immediately switches out to Bronzong here. And this Earthquake does so much damage. We can actually tell from the spikes damage that this Bronzong took that it was not Levitate. It was actually Heat Proof or Heavy Metal. Probably Heat Proof because nobody uses Heavy Metal. This Earthquake damage is going to do 63% to this Bronzong. I'm not quite sure why this Bronzong wasn't Levitate. It could have been a check to Cerulege or the Salazzle here, but regardless, it was not Levitate, and so it was able to get Earthquaked by the Ting-Lu, and because it's so slow, it just got Earthquaked right again, sending it to the Shadow Realm, not able to do a single thing. Then the King Gambit comes out here, and then we saw right there, it did 6%. So it is still not the Hisuian Zoroark. Terra Flyings, and then does Kotao Cleave onto the Ting-Lu. So the Ting-Lu is actually, like I said, not max defense. And the Terra type from King Gambit is actually really good because it resists fighting, which it is quad weak to, and it is also now immune to ground. So both really common typings, offensive typings that King Gambit is weak to, now it is resisted and immune to one of them. Ghost would have been another interesting one, but it wouldn't have been immune to ground. It only would have been immune to fighting. And since William does not have many fighting type moves, you know, flying makes sense. Flying makes a lot of sense. And as we can see here from the damage that Kowtow Cleave does, that this King Gambit is Adamant Nature plus attack. They get their passive healing going off right here. Again, only doing 29 to 30%, and this Ting-Lu is just trying to get up all the hazards. I believe it now has 3 layers of spikes, which is really good, because now anything on Alex's team is taking 25% damage. And knowing now that the Ting-Lu is gonna die, he switches out into Wo-Chien to take a Kowtow Cleave. With that Tablet of ruining its attack, the Kowtow Cleave only does 17% here, but it was a really nice scout on William's part to switch out into the Dash Bun here. Also defense nature for the X Scissor, yeah, because X Scissor would have killed the Wo-Chien from this range, even though it was max defense. It was just that strong. It probably would have had like a 1% chance to live, but very unlikely. And it was a really nice scout on William's part to switch to Dash Bun, which is also resisted to, of Kowtow Cleave and X Scissor. But as we see here, the Iron Head is going to do so much damage, 68%. And Iron Head again, hitting the Dash Bun, but it's a wish coming true and healing it right back up to full. And as you see here, a major chip damage. This is why Rapid Spin and Defog is so important, because in draft especially, Spikes do so much damage. Spikes is really good in draft, and he just takes 25%, like not even more than that. It was like 80%. He took the 12 or 6% from the Stealth Rocks and then 25% from here just by switching in. You know, as if you don't have a Levitate Mon, or if you don't have some hazard control, Spikes can do so much damage here. And really smart play, going for the Toxic, and once again just setting up more and more hazards. The Toxic Spikes are going to come in handy with the Slitherwing and the Mimikyu, as we'll see later on. And the Toxic here is just going to cripple this Wishcash down all the way to 21%. And then he brings out the Wo-Chien, obviously because it's a grass type, but then goes for Leech Seed here. Now, this was not like a super big misplay from William's part, but I will say it is a slight misplay, only because this Wishcash here, again, is at 21%. If he switches out and comes back in, it's gonna die. You know, it's also toxic. There's no way why Alex would keep this Wishcash alive, because 1, it's gonna die, and 2, it is crippled from toxic. He's just gonna keep it in until it faints. I get what William was trying to do. Maybe he was trying to see like, oh, maybe he'll switch out, so I should probably Leech Seed, so then I can Leech Seed something that's at, you know, more HP. The thing is, again, this Wishcash is on death's bed. He should have just Giga Drained here to heal up that damage. Then the Wishcash wouldn't have been able to get its Ice Beam damage, and, you know, everything would have been fine. But he took the 36%, which makes it so that, you know, a Slitherwing, or not a Slitherwing, a Shadow Ball from Zoroark or a Kowtow Cleave from King Gambit would probably kill it. So because of that, this Wo-Chien only goes up to 46%. And yeah, the Wishcash dies, but at what cost? But at what cost, you say? He would have been at much higher HP here, and then he wouldn't have, you know, done the play here, where the Slitherwing first impressions the Wo-Chien, and then it dies. Yeah, I would have probably went to, or sacked Dash Bun or the Ting-Lu here. Not trying to say like William's a bad player at all, but I would have probably kept this Wo-Chien alive, because it is really good in tanking both a Kowtow Cleave or a Shadow Ball from the Hisuian Zoroark. Whereas now Ting-Lu and Dash Bun are both really low, and he only has his main attackers. So as of right now, he has to go in with some immediate damage. and that's exactly what he does here. So then out he brings out the Cerulege, goes for Bitter Blade, and we see that the Slitherwing had an Oka Berry the whole time, but because it was so low, and probably because the Cerulege was max attack, he just eats right through that Oka Berry, and then still Okos it. Well, not Okos, but kills it from 50%. And then once again, so much damage. The poison damage, the stealth rock damage, and the spikes damage, doing absolute mayhem on this team. And now he Bitter Blades again to pop the disguise, and then Mimikyu gets a free Swords Dance. So because the Cerulege is faster than the Mimikyu, we can tell that it is obviously Scarfed. Now, because of that, he can't Shadow Sneak to kill the Mimikyu. Otherwise, a Shadow Sneak right here would kill. But we see here that after the poison damage, Shadow Sneak one-shots the Cerulege. I would have switched out into Dashbun or Tinglu because they are both really low. Probably Tinglu because it's not really doing much anyways now that the Stealth Rocks and Spikes are up. Switched out, sacked the Tinglu, then switched back into Cerulege in order to use Scarf Shadow Sneak. And because, it is Scarfed, it is faster than the Mimikyu, so Scarfed Shadow Sneak would outspeed and kill the Mimikyu here. Especially with the poison damage and everything, yeah, this is definitely in range of a Shadow Sneak. And once again, there's no point in Mimikyu switching out because when it comes back in, it's going to die from the Stealth Rock and the Spikes damage and poison. So there's really no point for why Mimikyu would switch out. You're free to Shadow Sneak here as much as possible. You would have to switch out if the Kingambit or Hisuian Zoroark come in, but you can sack off Dashbun here, and then you can go from there. Bitter Blade, whatever, and then the Gallade can probably come in on the Kingambit. You know how it is. But unfortunately, the Cerulege dies, and that's one more win condition lost. We have Dashbun just barely dying from the Stealth Rocks, and then just tries to stall it out with Protect and trying to just get the poison chip. He does heal a little bit from the Drain Punch, but from Life Orb and Poison, the Mimikyu goes down. And now in the end game, this is really not looking so well. You can tell from obviously the full HP, but also the Spikes damage and the Stealth Rocks damage taking 12%, that this is actually the Hisuian Zoroark. And Gallade, or William probably knows this too, but there's not anything that he can do unless this was also Scarfed and outsped the Hisuian Zoroark. But right now, Gallade does not have access to any priority other than Shadow Sneak, which Hisuian Zoroark resists or immune to because it's part normal. So then, as we see here, the Shadow Ball from Hisuian Zoroark just kills the Gallade in one shot, and then kills the Tinglu as well. And that seals the deal for William here, and Alex progresses on to the finals. Now, as just a quick wrap up, I don't believe William made any major mistakes here. As much as I was saying oh, he should have done this, oh, he should have done that, I don't believe he'd made any major misplays at all. It was just in the beginning he was really strong setting up the hazards, played it really strong with the Tinglu, immediately terroring and walling his entire team. It's just towards the end he played it a little bit passively with the Wo-Chen and didn't sack the mons that he didn't need, and then that costs him the end game because Alex's draft is really good with the end game with Sucker Punch, Supreme Overlord Kingambit, and also Hisuian Zoroark just being incredibly fast. And of course a Mimikyu as well with a free Swords Dance because of its ability. It's just really good for the late game. And William wasn't able to capitalize on his own offenses, which is Cerulege. Cerulege is so good with Shadow Sneak and Swords Dance and Weak Armor, all that. So in the end, Alex made the better decision making, and that cost him the win here. And it was a good match, good show from William. Obviously, I'm really proud of him. Beginning of the game was really strong. It's just towards the end he started to falter, and Alex was able to come in clutch with his Mons. And so that does it for the first match of the second round. Next we have Eric versus Kyle, and we'll see how that goes. I hope you guys all have a fantastic day, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.